I want to begin by saying I really enjoyed this movie. And with all due respect, when I saw sort of the poster and kind of heard a little bit about it, I was sort of expecting, you know, kind of your average prison comedy. And this is like a really good movie with a lot of heart. Could you talk a little bit about, you know, putting together the script and then putting together the film?
Yeah, I like setting it up so you don't think it's going to be good and then you're wowed.
Low expectations. That's what you're going for.
Yeah, exactly.
We knocked it out of the park.
No,
you really did.
Thank you. Sorry, what was your question?
Well, just you know, I mean, was your goal was to make a you know, not just a regular kind of
absolutely
screwball comedy, but a black comedy with a lot of heart.
Definitely from the beginning. I mean, just the concept of trying to create a character that's a racist Klansman and tell the story from his point of view, and you know, have a believable change in the guy that you're actually rooting for him in the end. But what really attracted me to the whole concept was just having this story be from his point of view and unrelenting in its sort of, you know, not pointing a finger at him like, oh, he's the bad guy, you know, just sort of the movie almost takes his position in the first 15 minutes until Hector comes in, and that's how I wanted it to be almost awkward, and I think that, you know, that helps make it all it helps a big payoff when you're actually caring about this character, and I don't know that you could even if you weren't that invested in, you know, where's this thing going. Right.
Well, Tom, let me ask you, is it difficult to play such, you know, obviously in some ways a reprehensible character, but make him such a redeemable, interesting person that the audience roots for, really, and wants to watch?
The part, I really love acting. And I don't say that lightly. I really do enjoy it. So it's always kind of fun for me. So regardless of what the part, I mean, Red Planet wasn't fun. That wasn't very fun. You're working with the reason.
Yeah.
So after I met with Jesse, I'm an actor that when I read something, I ask myself, do I have the ability to do this? I don't have the talent to do it. Whether I'm talented or not, that's for someone else to say. But do I have it in my palate? Does this part something I can do and do well? Am I going to be able to get in like a pocket somewhere and just kind of like sit there? And I wasn't sure when I read it, but after I met with Jesse, and he explained to me what he was doing and Kevin's involvement. I didn't know Kevin well from before, but I knew his brother, and I know he's a really nice guy and a very funny guy. And then him and I didn't know about his work. And they seem like nice people, and that was important. It's always important to me, but really important to me because I was just kind of really sober and first job out of the box. And it was Jesse. The reason I did the movie was because of Jesse, you know, and Jesse directed me beautifully and got me to get that part. To do the little details and little, you know, discrete movements emotionally that you need to have for it to turn, and then you all of a sudden are kind of astonished at the redemption this man. I mean, I actually, a couple people told me they got choked up, you know, at his change. And so that's a lot to accomplish in 85 minutes, and that's not even mentioning the unique way it's shot,
Yeah.
the color, and, you know, all the individual performances that are also.
Well, it's a very emotional performance on top of this otherwise very funny comedy. It's a very good performance. I want to ask you, Kevin, obviously Bubba is, you know, maybe not the brightest guy, you know, brightest bulb of the Christmas tree. No, I wouldn't say that. He seems like a smart fellow. He's a little smarter than Bubba. But can you talk a little bit about Bubba and Leroy's relationship? And I was curious if he is really listening and understanding everything Leroy's saying, or if he just loves it, right? He's not even understanding the repercussions, right?
I got a friend I grew up with, and it doesn't really matter. We don't see each other to talk for. I love the guy. You know, that's just love each other. I mean,
Follow him
they've been
anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
When the relationship started, I was obviously the leader or the more mature or down the road in my life kind of guy that he was. So when most relationships start like in the first couple weeks, a lot of things get put in place. Like who gets the coffee, who the leader is, who's getting fucked, who's not getting fucked.
Did you make that choice on your own? Did you make the choice of who gets fucked in this relationship?
If we were out, I didn't care. Bubba's the kind of guy that goes scouts out broad.
I didn't care.
Bubba, go get that girl.
I'm a free spirit. I didn't care.
Yeah, Bubba just kind of.
As long as he had his potatoes, he was cool.
He was cool. That's right. So that's the kind of guy he was. Just like he's cool. He's a thinker. I'm just kind of the follower.
I don't
so.
know how much of a thinker Leroy really is. Oh,
So I was just following my leader, and eating potatoes. I tried to convince him that things are all right. I mean,
Bubba's a great friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I mean,
the loyalty
he's a good friend,
that Leroy gets from Bubba is...
Was it that simple, sort of, no inspiration, just like he is the loyal friend?
Right. I mean, look, I always try to keep simple. I'm really not that smart, so I do try to keep things very simple. So, yeah. And so, like...
I know you're
stupid. We didn't know.
So I just try to keep my acting really simple and simple lines. And, Bubba's just going to follow what he does. And, there you go. And that's all I had to do in the movie. And just sit there and eat my potatoes and shut my mouth. And
he was hysterical.
It was definitely, it needed somebody who is, just likable just looking at him to pull that off. Because, he is just this, racist guy. But you do kind of feel this... You feel sorry for him because
if Leroy said, I like black people, he goes, so do I.
But he's been indoctrinated into this thing. We're changing it.
He was a little shocked.
Yeah. I love, you were talking about the potatoes. I love the potato stuff, and Stacy Keach is hilarious. And tell me about, you have a lot of scenes with Stacy. Tell me about kind of,
he was just
working with him.
It was on the money. Oddly enough, we all came there with the same kind of stylistic groove, and I think it was because Jesse set
I remember the very first scene that we shot with Tom and Stacey, which actually didn't make it into the movie, even though it's one of my favorite scenes, but it just didn't make it into the movie, unfortunately. But Stacey came in, it was his first day, and I'd only talked to him on the phone, and he kind of came in playing it a bit. He was kind of, he was holding back, and then Tom just came at him with everything, and I think Stacey right then, it clicked like, oh, this is what we're doing.
He said to me, oh, so this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I know how to do that.
So,
Exactly. So he had sort of one idea of...
I think that's what we're doing.
I wrote it. I literally wrote the script with Tom, Kevin, and Stacey in mind to play these roles, but I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with Tom, and we really had it down. And I spoke to Stacey on the phone numerous times, but we hadn't worked on it as much, and so I think he didn't. He wasn't exactly sure, what the tone was until that scene.
Yeah, ate his ass.
You showed him the tone, and then he picked it up.
Destroyed his actor's soul.
That's the quote. That's it. Well, real quick before we run out of time, I wanted to ask a little bit about Leroy's relationship, obviously, with Emilio and Madalena.
He's married to her now, I think. I hope so.
You think he's married to Madalena? That they went off, and that would be the future. Yeah.
It's a movie. It's a happy ending.
But what is the change in the character? And for Jesse, for you, what was sort of the change in that character? He does end up. He realized that they weren't so bad. Yeah.
Not so bad.
I think it would take. It would take love, to fully change.
I don't think that Leroy ever was ever racist. See, I don't really think he was. I think he was a product of
his environment.
His environment. There were certain parts of the South, like in Birmingham, Alabama, for instance, that a 14-year-old boy was indoctrinated into the KKK. That's just the way it was. If you were a Caucasian, you were 14, you went to your first KKK meeting, by the time you were 16, you were a member. It was like joining the Boy Scouts.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was a charismatic young man, obviously, and I was, the character was, and then he rose to a kind of leadership, then a grand leader. I don't think he ever really, the way when I put it apart together in my head, I think, racism is a result of ignorance. Foolishness. Ignorance is the main thing that comes out of racism. I grew up in Detroit. I grew up in a largely all-black environment, and I saw racism up close. And as soon as the authorities are gone and the people can they sit down, everybody realizes they're the same. This is really foolish. I mean, even your dumbest motherfucker on earth, can get to no one should be hurt because of the color of their skin. They should be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. The dumbest fucker on earth understands that principle.
Even me.
I know you're stupid. No one else does.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll just end it on that, guys. Thank you so much.